just found out that two women can have a biological child together, but it can only be a girl. And I seen the results, and the daughter looks just like both of them, and she is gorgeous. I need to find a wife.
I believe we need to make it clear and specific. It's biological women, meaning that both of these women were born female, not transgender women. That's just for the male straight community to understand and grasp this information. And I remember telling a man this information, and he could not believe me. He could not believe this, which again we ask, why is it that the woman is expected to take and expand the male's legacy? Meanwhile, the Y chromosome, which is responsible for creating the male species, is disappearing, while the X chromosome is growing stronger. Let's also keep in mind that both the female and the male have the X chromosome. You really need to understand that the XY chromosome, which is responsible for creating the male species, is a genetic mutation of an XX chromosome, which simply means is you started off as a female and you mutated into the Y chromosome, which is why that you can find the X and the X still intact in both species, being the male and the female. That is why the Y chromosome that is responsible for creating you is disappearing, because you're a genetic mutation. The problem with religious people is that they never see life outside their own ego. They base their religion around their fears, and they can never really see life outside of themselves. The only time you need God is when it benefits your own interest. Life did not start with your religion. The earth will continue to be for the next billions of years. It will continue to recreate itself. Do you know who will not be here in the next couple of years? You and me. You really need to understand that the X is the one that's intact. It has always been intact. The Y chromosome is the one disappearing because it is a mutation of an X chromosome, which means that you started off as a female and later on mutated into a Y chromosome. We all have gods that we pray to and acknowledge. So life did not start with you and your God. We are not even a civilization. We are downright something else. And it's really showing us that we are going to evolve again. I just want to start off by saying this. In the process of making this video, rather the series, I have received so much backlash from men. Me as a woman, understandably so. I mean, how would my reaction be as a man? And I found out that the entire reproduction process does not necessarily depend on a sperm from a man to create a baby. Two biologically women can create a baby without the aid of a sperm. I would be mind blown. The earth has been around for billions of years. Meanwhile, the sperm have been stable for the past 25 million years. What does that immediately tell you? And we say stable. Meanwhile, the XX chromosome have been intact and seems to be growing stronger, but yours have been stable. Remember also that the Y chromosome also has an SRY genetic, which triggers the male development. It also has like a little tiny DNA supply in it in comparison to the XX. Mainly because you mutated from me. And that's the process of evolution. It came with you giving me periods. That's something that I did not experience. So women were able to reproduce, create through themselves without your aid. I mean, that's how we created you. I was not born through a man, just as you were not born through a man, you were born through a woman. You cannot do what my body can do. My body as a black woman is more advanced than yours. And I'm bragging because I'm proud of this fact. It's wonderful news to know this. To this day, keep in mind also that the X exists in you and me right now. You still have a trace of an X that you mutated from me to now. That when you were in a process of developing into a baby, you fell out and became mutated. That's where the Y chromosome came from. Instead of you being intact, you received the shorter end of the DNA. That's where the Y chromosome comes from. I mean, creating through a male made the process a little bit easier. That's why we created you. We created you so that you would be able to make the process of creation easier. We also created you because we needed your strength. It will be easier to build with your strength. We did not create you so that you can turn around and make caricatures of us. So the earth is cleaning you out. Remember, it was not just the males who mutated from women. A lot of things mutated. White people also mutated. The certain animals also mutated. Certain plants as well. The earth as well adapted to a new environment. Hence, we are here today. Well, environment. I'm not saying environments, but you get the point. Something as well you should know is that a lot of these civilizations were female dominated. I love my life. I love my knowledge. I love knowing that the goddess is with me. You contradict yourself on so many levels. I do not even have to go as far as billion years ago. Both genders, the male and the female, carry the X chromosome. To this day, you carry it. Not just the female, but the male as well. That is because you are a genetic mutation of the female. From the time you were created from the womb, you started off as an X. All of us did. Those who mutated into the Y chromosomes were males. This is taught to grade 10s. It's in the books, bro. I can debunk the whole Genesis with one simple fact. From the moment of the male's creation to this present moment, the male carries the XY chromosome, which is a genetic mutation of the XX chromosome. From the moment he was just a seed, he started off as an X, and he genetically mutated into a Y chromosome. The X within itself found a way to recreate itself to find in your creation. So the female was never born from the male's rib. It was the male who was created from the woman's egg, which you still have to this day. It has nothing to do with the LGBTQ. It has nothing to do with the feminist. It's just simple biology.
Science. I love science, so I'll take this one. First of all, there are a couple of things mentioned in those two videos. So I staged one video and that lady staged another video. Now, there are a couple of things there that are already wrong. First of all, it's not just two women who can do this. Any person can do it. Even a guy, even me, I can do that. I can create two gametes. The process is called IVG, in vitro gametogenesis. So what it is that, remember, for you to be you, you need two pairs, a pair from your mom, a pair from your dad that made you, right? So what that process, the IVG process does is that it creates the cell undergoes meiosis. Meiosis is the process that split the gene into two pairs, right? So it splits into an egg and a sperm. So even a guy can produce an egg. His cell, my cell, can produce an egg and a sperm. So that's one thing that is already wrong with the concept that these two people are saying. And also, the baby cannot only be a girl. It can be a boy. It can be anything. Remember, it's just reversing a process that happened. So you are creating a sperm cell and an egg. You are splitting it back into something that it was, into gametes. That's why it's called gametogenesis. So anybody can do it. A woman can do it. A man can do it. Anyone can do it. As long as you have a pair of genes in your cell, in your adult cell, then they can be split into gametes. Now, anyone can do it, not just women. So here's the thing about science. Science doesn't care about politics. So science doesn't care about this whole thing, a fight between men and women right now, where it's like, are men even important? We can survive without them. Are women important? Science does not care. And she's saying that the Y chromosome is disappearing. But here's the thing about science. I'm telling you right now, in a few years or in a few decades, a baby will be able to be made and created on top of a table without ever needing a womb either. So if you are thinking that men are no longer necessary in reproduction, trust me, with science, women won't be necessary either. A baby can be made without ever being inside a person's body. Just there, on a table, grow there for 9 months, get born. It's very possible. The fact that premature babies can be sustained outside of a body already tell you. If we can fertilize outside of a person and use in vitro to inseminate, to implant, we can do way more. We can do the whole process outside of the body. Science can do that right now. If we wanted to test it, we can test a baby who was never inside any human being. So science doesn't care about the politics, about women and transgender women saying what makes it. Science doesn't care anything about any of that. Science is science. It's based on facts. Now, here's the thing though. When it comes to reproduction, naturally, across all species, right? Females seem more important because they are the one who hold the base of reproduction. There's another process called parthenogenesis. Now this one is mostly happens in lizards. That's when a female lizard becomes pregnant without a male and gives birth, but it can only give birth to girls or to females because it's a copy of itself. Remember, there's no other organism that came and shared its genome with it. So it is reproducing itself. Komodo dragons, you can look them up. They do that a lot. So there was a time period, sometime in the past, in a couple of thousands of years, where there were Komodo dragons, ancestors were trapped in an island where there were no males. All males were gone. So this came into effect. It started to happen. They will impregnate themselves. They will lay eggs, but all of their descendants are female. They cannot produce a male on their own without a male because that Y chromosome is not there. So this notion that Y chromosomes are disappearing or they're not important or they're gonna disappear is not true. It's always up to us. It's always up to us as humanity, because with science we get to know more and more and things we can do, but it comes to the question of ethics. Is it ethical to do it? Let's talk about in vitro. It was deemed unethical. Even operating a heart was deemed unethical. So it's something that can definitely happen in the next 200 years, where you find out that children are made in a lab, grow for 9 months in a lab, and then they are born in a lab. No woman is needed for that. No man is needed. A man can literally walk into a lab. They take a stem cell from him. A man, not talking about a woman, a man. A stem cell from him and make a baby without needing a woman anyway. The same thing that women can do as well. So when we talk about science, science is objective. It doesn't care about feelings. It doesn't care about what the politics is outside, where people are like, no, we are important, you are not important. Science doesn't care about that. Science is science. If we find out how to do one, then we will figure out how to do two. And if we know how to do 1 and 2, we can add 1 and 2 and get a 3. It doesn't matter whose feelings are hurt. So that's just to explain. You can go and look it up. It's not out yet. It's not being used yet because there's a lot of ethics that is going on with that, to say people will just be creating kids anyway, wherever they want. Men will just create kids anyway. They literally, to be honest with you, there's no need for a womb. You can literally grow a child. It's possible outside somewhere in a lab, and that baby will be born and will be alive. But is it ethical? So quit the fighting because it's a scientific thing, and science doesn't care about feelings. It doesn't care about any of that. So I just thought I should expand on that. You can look it up if you want. Both things, IVG and parthenogenesis. How it works. Parthenogenesis is interesting. I find that more interesting. Even this one though, gametogenesis, the fact that we can do meiosis on a stem cell of an adult human being and then get 2 gametes, a sperm, and we can also even get an egg. It's very interesting. But after that, the egg, the gametes are fertilized either by in vitro or whatever, but they are fertilized normally, usually with in vitro because they're already outside. But yeah, that's just the science of it.
Please note that this video is not meant to offend you. It is for educational purposes. Just like you, I do appreciate a good educational argument, especially in science, when they do not appreciate 2 things: Black people and women. Now, with a statement that you made, that 2 of the same gender can create a baby regardless of the baby's gender, reminds me of a popular statement that we are all humans and we were all created from the one race. We all migrated from Africa to different parts of the world and repopulated from there. Africa is the original home for everyone. I bet you know this popular saying. So we are going to debunk this. We are not all humans, we were all not created from one race. White folks are genetic mutations, okay? The poor quality of skin that they have, from their eyes to their organs, to their blood, to their sperm. Everything of them is of low quality. And they cannot do what my body can do. Due to their quality of skin, they are genetic mutations. So you saying everyone can create a baby, it's like white folks saying, well, I'm black inside. So we know this. Men are genetic mutations of females. Like I've said multiple times, the male carries the X chromosome to signify that he mutated from the female. That's why to this day you still carry the X chromosome. It is not even something that's based on theories. It's a fact. Because male science is based around so many theories. Because their male ego will not allow them to accept what is. The reason to why the Y chromosome is also shrinking, it is because the Y that is responsible for your creation has a small amount of DNA. The X is still intact, like I said. Due to all of this, it takes a lot longer for a male to develop. You know, the SRY, which is part of the male development, it takes longer in comparison to the female child. It takes longer for boys to even walk. It takes longer for boys to mature. The male development is very slow. Girls do not struggle as much. So the Y is very low. It's not even enough to balance itself. I mean, genetically. That's why also it is a mutation. A male body cannot do what my body can do. In order for the male to recreate, it needs a body. The male cannot create outside of the female body. It's like the Y needs the X. Over the years as well, men have been shrinking. This is something that you have been proud of, that there isn't enough men on the planet in comparison to women. There are more women in comparison to men. Over the years, we will experience a decline of men. It's like we are currently seeing a decline in Western populations. Remember again that the sperm have been stable for the last 25 million years. That's why we are here with the shrinkage of the Y. It's been happening. We've known about it. So let's close this by saying this. Well, I'm closing this by saying this. Men are not the only genetic mutations.